Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on a 49-year-old from Long Island, New York, USA. A legend and staple with the Syracuse Crunch since 95 or 27 seasons or years, folks. And he's been running the show pretty near the whole time. He is a two-time Ken McKenzie Award winner in the AHL and helped make the Marabitu Outdoor Classic a reality, the league's first outdoor game, and was one of the architects of the 2014 Toyota Frozen Dome Classic, which set a new indoor hockey attendance record at 30,715 and has helped countless young men feel at home in Syracuse, New York, and has watched and helped promote who knows how many of them to the NHL, and then hoisted the Stanley Cup with them twice with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Welcome to the shed, Jim Sarosy.
Mr. Walton, you covered it all. That's everything.
I guess we don't have to talk about anything else.
No, we're done.
That's it.
I was trying to do a little prep work with it and everything, and you said countless numbers. You were as a alum here, and that's when we met, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But we finished the year with a nice round number. We've had 750 athletes come through the program so far.
At
that's
the
what
Syracuse
we ended the year
Crunch,
with. Yeah.
750.
750. And I should know the number that have gone on to the NHL. I don't know off the top of my head. It's a lot. But you're a very, you're one of those alumni.
One of 750. That's not bad.
One of 750. That's it. Those are the only that have ever worn our uniform.
Well, I never did register a point for the squad, so there's that.
There was a time we can joke about, I know you're good natured with everything. Yeah. I think you were 19 games with us, and at one point that was the most games without a point. I wasn't going to bring it up.
Don't bring it up.
Okay, we're done. Cut it.
Bet, you know what? I bet you I had the least amount of ice time in 19 games too. But I did mix it. I did mix in a fight. I was playing fourth line with the destroyer, Mike Scroy, right? You got to chuck some knuckles when you're on the same line as him.
Yeah, so it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't count.
But yeah, no, that was probably the worst I ever played hockey. So sorry.
What a career though. After, you were like, I remember. You had parts of 2 years with us, right? I
left after my senior year of college to finish the season with Syracuse, and what they said to me, or my agent, I guess, was that they wanted first shot at signing me July. They wanted first dibs of signing me July 1st, but they wanted to get a look at me beforehand. And our season in Western Michigan had ended 2 weeks prior, and we had no ice, and boys were going out. We were having some fun. Our college careers were over, and I didn't think I was going anywhere. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, okay, now it's time to go. Then I show up, and I'm not making excuses, but this is a pretty good one. They don't let you use Bauer sticks. I showed up with my Bauer sticks. They're like, you can't use those. And I ended up, the whoever was the equipment manager, I think his name was Rodney, right?
Yeah, Rodney Blatchford. Yeah, good memory. Yeah.
So, I remember because he said, you got to go down to the basement and just pick a stick off the rack. There was some wild curves on that team, and I could not play hockey with those curves.
And Brent, that's just when the deal, I remember, I don't know if it was the exact year, but that's just when that happened, when the American League did that big partnership with Reebok at the time. And oh boy, was it tough. And like right now, it's not even a thought. We get 3 exemptions a year, and we don't even use them all half the time right now. But
so everybody's still using that shit.
Yeah, we're all CCM now. We're allowed up to 3 exemptions per game, and you kind of save them for a guy maybe coming down on rehab.
Well, that's tough though. A guy coming out of college, say they've never used Reebok CCM their entire life. They've always used Bauer, and they've always used the exact same curve. And then all of a sudden you show up to the AHL, your biggest tryout of your life, and they're like, you can't use those sticks. And then you got to play the fourth line and play 3 shifts a game.
So and after 2 weeks of shutting it down, you can't discount that. I get that for sure. Your mind was hard,
and then all of a sudden you're getting into like the biggest games of your pro life. Like I talked to Derek Clancy. He was our coach in Dayton that year. And like we talked about guys have windows. Like that was my window to show myself off. And realistically, if I knew where I was at and I knew the college career I had, I should have waited till the start of the next season, but
that makes sense in hindsight, right?
Yeah, but it was also an opportunity to go to the AHL, and they're talking about signing me to the NHL. And it's like, well, geez, I can go do that.
And especially with an organization like Columbus, I remember like now with Tampa, we're going through it. It's folks may have just seen just recently 2 of their higher college prospects did not sign with them. And I think, not knowing all the details, I think it's because they look at the lineup and we have 18 forwards in Syracuse. That lineup is pretty set, but with Columbus, there was so much opportunity. I remember
there was some opportunity. They were only a couple years into it, right?
That's right. Yeah, there was a lot of opportunity, but it didn't put you. And it's something that we've come full circle on. And this is a great example. And it's something I'll even probably bring up with the Tampa guys. That's a perfect example of not putting someone in the best position to succeed. Whether it's the 2 weeks off, not using the tools that nobody's going to tell me what type of computer to use. Right. Or
not having the right stick. Like if I would have known that, like as soon as I used that stick in the game, I remember like my first game, and like your first couple games can make a mark. I remember having Jeff Platt wide open in front of the net. And I went to just do a normal pass to him standing wide open in front of the net. I almost hit him in the face with the puck because the curve was so weird, right? And I didn't know how to use it. And but
no, and to your point too, just the last thing on that too, like obviously in college you're playing, I mean, because we know you're playing all first line, you're playing a ton of minutes, you're playing power play, and you're right. No disrespect to Mike, but you're getting put down.
There was no power play. There was no penalty kill. There was, and then I come out of college to play fourth line, and it's like, well, it's not really the player I am. But,
no.
I think they looked at my body and they're like, that's not for us. But yeah,
they did sign you.
Well, so what happened was though is they had guaranteed me the AHL one way for the next year if I'd come, and they got stuck with me. I had a couple other options, but they weren't confirming it, and I had a deadline with Syracuse, so I signed with a team that didn't want me back. But I ended up losing 25 pounds, and I was ready to rock. And but I think they'd already penciled me in down in the Daytona Beach, so
I remember. Yep.
Yeah. What
Good
can
old
you
Dayton.
do? Yeah. But anyways, I get into how we know each other. This is a big part of it, I guess, was my Syracuse time, which I think it was 6 games my first year when I leave college, but I was there longer than that because I was getting health bombed a bunch.
Yeah.
You remember, does it still happen the same where guys go out for warm up and then they come off after warm up? There's just not a jersey there.
Yep. There's one we get to dress one extra every, and a lot of time. Well, specifically in April, it is very similar to your situation. It's usually those type of guys. It happened a number of times this year where a young player from juniors or college would take warm-ups and didn't get in a game, and sometimes they never.
Why do they bother making them take warm-up? Do they not know what their lineup is? Why embarrass the guy?
I mean,
like, what's the point?
From the coach's point of view, it's as simple as if someone does that 1 in a million chance where someone tweaks something during warm-ups. Yeah, that's it,
But for me, I think it's more of a distraction to the rest of the boys. You got to get the guy, he's got to get undressed, and like you see my terrible body walking out of the room naked. No, but like I'm walking out of the shower pissed off naked, and the boys are like, fuck, Wally's pissed off. But like, I think I don't know, I liked going to Europe to play because it was more of a team. There was no up and down, and you're not competing against your teammates. That's what I loved about it, is you're part of a team for the year. Yeah. And I just thought it was a bit of a distraction, but I guess realistically in the AHL, once they see my jerseys missing in the room, the rest of the boys are like, yes, I'm in.
They're in. We made another one. No, but you carved out a great career there. But going back, it's different with every parent club. And and we'll talk. I mean, if you allow, we'll go into more of the Tampa Bay. We're going everywhere, buddy. We're diving deep in the shed.
All right,
tonight. I love it. I mean, I can't. We just finished our 10th year with Tampa Bay, and I can't. Well, actually, I apologize. We're going into our 10th year with Tampa Bay, and I can't stress just how much they get it in terms of the care factor. It's people first, and it's part of something like you said, because nobody grows up saying, "Hey, I want to play for the Syracuse Crunch." That's not. We're a stop along the way to dreams.
Yeah.
And we're a development program, but Tampa really puts, the philosophy is very simple. Winning is not an innate trait. You're not born a winner. There's a process to winning. It's like they liken it to going to bed. Like you don't just go in and you're down, boom, you're on your pillow. There's a process. You put your pajamas on, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you go. Winning is very much the same thing. But what they do that maybe a Columbus couldn't do because of resources or whatnot is they have every resource in the world, and they think about that kind of stuff. They won't put a guy in there if they think he'll be uncomfortable walking through the room after and not being in the lineup. It's quite different now, but you're right. The only thing that's consistent with us is being inconsistent, right? With the lineup changing.
Wow. And the AHL, I'm surprised there's only been 750 Syracuse crunch. Cause like, when the research team gets hot for this stuff, sometimes you look at an AHL roster, like the years I was there, I remember my 6 games, but then you see another 20 names of dudes I'd never met.
Exactly. I couldn't even know who to talk to about because I don't know who was there with some of them.
Oh, for sure. But anyways, it is a different thing, but I think cultures of winning there's cultures that are winning. I've won a bunch after those days.
Yes.
Yeah, I did some winning, but like those cultures were different than the ones I didn't win on. Like those teams I didn't win on, it came from the top down. It came from not buying the good sticks. It came from the way you treated people from the moment they walked in the arena. Like when I went to Cardiff, who I was there from the start of, now they're like a dynasty over in the UK.
I've heard only good things about them. Yes.
Right. So the guy there, Todd Kelman, he told me that when my first year, he's like, I give bagels to the guys. All I do is buy a couple toasters and I get bagels and peanut butter and like cream cheese. And he's like, the guys love it. And then they tell everybody how they get breakfast here compared to the other teams. And it's something small like that it's like carrying, like, then you don't have to have breakfast at home. You can just show up at the rink, have your bagel with the boys and your coffee. And then all of a sudden you're around the boys more, you're in the locker room more, you're not racing in the last minute. And that's what a culture is of winning, is being around the boys.
You nailed it. Well said. And that's exactly it. In our 20, we're going into year 29 as a team. I'm going into year 28, like you said earlier. We did a lot of good things. A lot of it, though, was promotional and off ice. We really didn't get that side of it until we switched over to Tampa. And it was 3 people. It was Steve Yzerman at the time. It was John Cooper as our head coach and Julian Brisebois. And they taught us what was needed to do it. And it's a lot of that kind of stuff. My argument today in the locker room with the players that are there, some of the vets are in, is they want a chef now. Look how far we've come. They want a team chef.
In the Syracuse arena.
In Syracuse, right? Well, you wouldn't recognize it if you came. Our problem with guys like you is you're playing in Western Michigan. Okay, you made it to pro. Okay, now here's a ticket to the War Memorial basement. Oh, my goodness. Here's your gym.
And now you're living in a hotel with no kitchen. You can't cook food. You can't eat healthy. You got to eat out every meal. And then they're like, oh, by the way, you're not in shape. And you're like, well, there's a greasy pasta place down the road here.
And we've come a long ways.
Are the fellas still staying in the Marks, the old Octagon hotel, or are you getting a fancy pants one now?
Yeah, we're right back. We were there up until recently, but we're going back to it was offline when you were with us. It's called the Hotel Syracuse. It's a Marriott right across the street. It was dormant when you were with us. Oh. So no, they get breakfast and lunch every day. They get dinners on game days.
Is that right?
We have the sauna, the hot tub, the cold tub. We have everything now. So it's
where's quite a sauna in the Syracuse arena? Downstairs in the weight room.
Yeah. What we did is I'm sure you remember a little bit, but it's really triple the size of when you were here. We really built out into that basement. We even have a video room now. It's amazing.
Basement you guys upgraded. The basement was
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah,
oh boy, did it
was probably ready.
We couldn't survive. Brent, we play in the oldest arena in the American League.
It's the War Memorial, it's called, right?
Yeah, Slapshot was filmed there, as I'm sure you know. The locker room that you dressed in, the scene when the police come to arrest the Hanson brothers when they knock on the locker room door. That's our locker room. That's where you were.
Is that it?
That's it. Yep. It was all green. Seats obviously are a different color. It wasn't
so they would have walked right by the shower that I used to get changed in for practice.
Right. You're right.
Yeah. Once Columbus didn't make the playoffs and all the boys came flood down, I had about 24 hours left and I got moved to the showers, and then they're like, okay, well, if you're changing in the shower, I guess it's time to go back to school.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. What else do I got though? So for how we know each other, some of the fellas I've had on that I know and that made a mark while I was there was Andy Canzanello. He was the first guy when I got to Syracuse that after that first practice, and he was a college kid from Colorado College, that said, let's go out for like Qdoba or Chipotle. And it's like, oh, you know me well. But it takes a teammate like that to say, hey, come along, let's go, right? And that's what that helps build winning cultures, and Kansi's a beauty.
Isn't he? I have lost touch with him. I have to reach back out, but no, he was a pleasure to deal with.
Yeah. And then there was Darcy Verreau, Jeff McMillan. All these guys have came to the shed. Trevor Frischman, who worked his way from Daytona Beach up to the NHL, right?
Love him.
Yeah.
Scored one of the biggest goals in team history.
Did he?
Yeah, it was an overtime goal, game clinching game 6 against Manitoba Moose. We advanced to the conference finals thanks to his goal. Right? It was one of them. I remember Jeff very well. And I still keep in touch with Darcy and his family, and they're good people. And Trevor Hendricks as well, I think right?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And one name that makes me think of Hendo is the strength coach is still there. Mark Powell's
still there.
So he trained Hendo, and then it came up in the shed that he trained Rodney Bauman when he was with the Ottawa 67s. And they fought each other, and he talked about how they both were trained by Mark Powell, and then they were fighting each other in the OHL, right? But I remember Mark Powell, he was the one that he was telling me how to eat that summer. I lost all the weight, and we were close that summer. We chatted a lot. He gave me a lot of good insight, and I still remember how he helped me out. He tried to get me to eat like bison burgers. They were fantastic.
I do. He does say that. Mark Powell has a heart of gold. And you think about it, he joined us in the 2000s, but no, he
came from Ottawa 67s, right?
Yeah. No, yeah. Mark. Yeah, no, we're very blessed to have him, and he's really kind of become the dean of coaches in the league, because there's not many that had been around or has been around as long as him. And he's so happy. We're doubling the size of his gym this summer. He's got it going on pretty good. He's in good shape.
Well, when I got to his gym in the AHL, and this is true, I had never been on a foam roller in my life, and I didn't
really.
I didn't know how to do it. And they're like, hey, you got a foam roll for whatever it was, 5-10 minutes. And I was like watching the boys. I'm like, okay, so you just roll on this thing. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, he's a good dude. And
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I remember the first time I walked into that gym in the basement, and I'm going to the AHL, and a little nervous, just tiny little college kid that, and then the AHL, there's some big boys back then. The first time I went into the weight room, Mike Sroy was hitting the heavy bag and doing like spinning elbows and spinning roundhouse kicks, and he was topless. And I was like, that's my line mate.
Yeah, here's your new line mate. Here you go.
Yeah, we're gonna run amok tonight.
What an intimidating individual he was.
I was his hotel roommate for a little bit too. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were with him. Oh boy.
Yeah.
He's gone on. He does well. I know he does a lot of training.
He's training like UFC fighters, and even like in hockey too. Yeah, he came to the shed as well. Wow. It was one of my first episodes. Yeah,
I'm very honored that started. It was very cool of you to reach out. I thank you very much. Yeah, I went through a list. I didn't go that far back. I didn't see that. I saw Jeff, and he's another one that I'd like to reconnect.
Well, I was wondering if you were even going to remember me, because everybody's got a different journey, different path. But like when I think of like one guy being in the same city and being on the same team for 27 years, you have had like 750 players go through, and I wasn't very impactful.
I did. No, absolutely. I did. It's a weird setup for us, right? Because kids are so proud of the colleges or the junior teams they go through. Mm-hmm. They're obviously the NHL alum is very important to the teams. We're in that, like I said before, we're kind of a step along the way, but trying to maintain that alumni. What's that one thing all of us have in common? And it's just not always hockey. There's business opportunities later on. It's important to me that we keep that going. And it's just not on the athletic side. I mean, we're very fortunate. We just had a community person go up to the New York Islanders. She's our 83rd front office member who went to the NHL, or NBA or NFL or MLB. That's what we're about, right? It's about development and getting folks on. 83rd front office person. And Brent, the
out of you guys in Syracuse,
that all came through our front office.
Holy moly! You must be proud of your little puppies when they go up, eh?
over the moon proud. Like
but that's the thing is in hockey, there were good people that wanted to see people succeed, that wanted to see people, players like coaches. There were coaches that would want to do it for themselves and wanted to keep guys for themselves. And then there are other guys that were like, you're ready to go. You're ready to spread your wings. And they would try and promote them and try and get them out there. And these are the type of people I want in my shed, or the people that are trying to help people get to the next level. And that's what it sounds like you've been doing.
No, and I am so bad from equipment guys all the way up. Like I said, the most recent was Jackie Decker. Just went to the New York Islanders a couple months ago to help out in their community relations department. But that continues to grow our network, and it's the only downside is they're only leaving when they're good, right? So then you got to kind of have to start over. So that's the challenge with us. But I wouldn't have it any other way. Kind of all day type of thing too. But I want, trying to keep in touch with folks like you or other players that have come through. Who knows where their careers are going to go and everything. And that's important that they have that built-in network.
That's basically what I've been doing. Was I had kind of lost my network. I wasn't talking to guys. My phone was pretty dormant with messages from old teammates. And I was just at home living the normal life for like 5 years. And then when I got back for a night overseas in Cardiff for a night, and I relived being a hockey player, and it made me realize I missed that guy, and I missed acting like that guy and talking to guys the way I talk to guys at the rink. And that's what inspired me to do this. And now I get to find out what the hell all you guys are doing now, right?
I think it's great. It was really cool looking through your previous guests and everything. And I really am sincerely happy for the success you've had with this. This is really, really neat.
No, thanks. No, it's my favorite thing I've ever started. That's for sure. And
going back to name, you're right. I'm pretty good still remembering a lot. Like I'm very blessed because a lot of folks, like even you, I'm there. I'm usually the one when they sign their first, whether it's a tryout or whatnot. That's a special moment. I tend to remember those. I'm having a lot of trouble though remembering what numbers. I know you were 11.
10.
I know you were 11. Were you 11 at one point?
No, I think I showed up and I got number. Oh, maybe the first year, those first 6 games, I might.
So maybe I did mess up. Then I saw you as 11.
I was a 10 because I remember I got it that next year, and there was a draft pick that wanted it, but because I'd played those 6 games,
you had more games.
I had more games, so I got to get the number, and he was so pissed off.
Oh, and that proves my point. I struggle with numbers now.
No. You've had to have met so many guys. I don't know how you keep track of it all.
No, but you
do form a bond with everybody, no matter how short a time it is. Like I remember pretty well all those guys from those teams, but a memory I'm going to bring up, and one of the reasons I thought it was cool and how much you're involved in the game, where people probably have no idea, is that there was a day I'm, the bubble guy in the AHL, and it was the first year, I think, and it was Mark Hardigan got sent down from Columbus to Syracuse right before playoffs to play the playoffs, and he had to clear waivers. And I was with you and him in your office, and we were literally like sitting around waiting for the facts to come in if he was going to get picked up on waivers. And for you to be sitting with a guy that is such a life-altering hour of his life, and he's figuring out if he's going back up to the NHL to make whatever he was making, or he's making and getting another opportunity in the NHL with maybe a team he sticks with, right? Or he's coming down to play the AHL playoffs. And that was a big moment. And I was sitting there with you guys like, wow, this is really neat that I'm with a guy that's this close to the NHL, or he was just there.
It's cool. I pinch myself still after all these years, and it is moments like that. It's like a gentleman like a Billy Bowler making his first NHL game after 9 years in the minor leagues. And, whether it's Yanni Gord signing his first NHL contract, being an undrafted guy, living on PTOs and AHL deals, and finally hitting that. You never forget those, those type of, but still, the way it works, as you well know, they'll identify an athlete who needs to go up, but to be in the room or right outside the room when they get that first call, and it's very simple. It's okay. Here you go and go see Jim. I'm the one who we're doing all the behind the scenes stuff,
the logistics and all that.
It's pretty cool. Just to be
a part of it.
Part of that.
Someone getting called up to the NHL for the first time, like people never forget that day, and you're a part of it quite a bit, right?
No, countless times. And it's so cool. It's so cool. We got a lot of jokes this year because Tampa, over the last 2 years with COVID, they were doing a lot of private jets so they could eliminate some of the isolation and stuff that they had to do. And you could always tell if it was a first call up, the guy shows up at the rink in a full suit and he's all packed up. If it's a guy going up for his 6th, 7th time, they're in their sneakers and jeans, and it's old hat, and you get to pick on all of that. But they're very surreal moments, and to be kind of that fly on the wall with a lot of it is always special. And then we create our own moments, for my group, the front office group, and everything, like you said. But I do often wonder, though, and you mentioned it earlier, like with you and the teams you've been on with Europe, that's your team. You're like, we don't have that,
No, you don't.
we do it. We do in the support staff and the upstairs, because most of our
but your team, what the team you're running with, if it's whether it's the sales team, whether it's marketing, whether it's the game day people, like those are teams. I'm talking about the AHL team I was on. I thought it was as dysfunctional of a room as I've ever been in.
Absolutely.
I thought the East Coast, they were more of a team because guys were kind of like, they were kind of somewhat rooting for each other, right? Like they wanted someone to get out of there, and we were all working together for that. But the AHL, with guys going up and down, and you're so close to the NHL, and like, man, there was a lot of 2-on-1s. I didn't see a lot of passing.
The model is so unique, right? Because just even look at it from the most selfish mode, right? The difference in the contract dollars and everything, and that one call is life-changing.
For
guys and stuff. And it all comes down to leadership. I mean, you can read 1,000 books about it, or you've experienced it. We've all experienced it. Genuinely, with this organization, I think there is a lot of that. And it's not perfect, of course. I mean, if there's one right wing spot open and there's 4 guys going for it, that's the competition you're trying to create.
And that's the way it goes. It's interesting in North America, though, because it's realistically the full organization of all the right wingers are competing with each other, right?
And that's what it is. You're right. It's one. It is the one family, the Tampa Syracuse. They get 50 contracts. They're only allowed 23, so the rest are coming here. But it's still all part of one.
Yeah, it's just hard to feel that way sometimes when you're in the room and you see some of the behavior. There's a couple guys on that team. I think that Bieksa beat up the one outside of a bar with a different team before he got traded to us. I don't know if you know that story. But yeah, that guy wasn't that good.
I got a lot. I got your roster right here. I was trying to go through some of the names. You had some characters for sure.
Yeah, no, there was. Okay, but gonna get into your poster pictures. Okay.
Oh, great.
Okay, you got 2 Stanley Cup rings.
How about that?
Do you wear them?
No, they're not very practical.
No, they're a bit big.
I'm over the moon proud of them. Like if a new intern starts, like I'm on the hunt. If somebody thinks, "You want me to bring them in tomorrow so you can see them?" Just so I have an excuse to bring them out.
Yeah.
But no, and that goes back to Tampa too. Like it's not always common. The NHL team doesn't necessarily always buy the management in their minor team. I'm a Syracuse Crunch employee. I'm not a Tampa Bay Lightning employee, but I feel like a Tampa Bay Lightning employee. And,
right.
And those 2 rings are a testament of it. I got those special calls. Unfortunately, this year's didn't work out, but last year, I got the call, if get on a plane to Colorado, we want you there for the final game. And to be around that, I don't know a lot of people. I watched the second one that they won. I was in the booth with all their scouts and everything. And when Julian's turn to lift the cup, he was one of the earlier guys. He lifted it. He took about 10 steps to center ice. He pointed up to the suite that we were all in, and it was, he had it, and then, hard, a thank you. Those are the people. That's the people grinding. He gets it. And how can you not feel like $1 million?
And realistically, for an organization to win, it takes everybody. It takes the minor league management to make their young bucks come into town from college or from a different city, or they get traded, like to feel like home when you show up. I don't like to say nice things to people in my shed, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, was when I got there, like when you're the first point of contact, when you show up in Syracuse and you make someone feel at home. And then for Mark Hardigan that day, he didn't get picked up on waivers, but you were like the cool, calm, nice guy that, like, either way, you weren't going to get too high, too low. You were going to be there with them and just kind of, we were both
it's about
there.
support, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it really is. I mean, our philosophy is simple. Like, if you're a coach, I want you there to coach. I want to take away all the distractions, all the bullshit that you might have to deal with in life. The same with the player. I want you there. So your focus is, how do I become a better hockey player to reach your goals? I do the same thing with my staff. We try to define our goals, give you the resources, and then we get out of the way and let you do it. And we're there if you need us. That's a tough moment for Mark. He didn't want to be in Syracuse, right?
Yeah.
He, as happy as we may be from a Syracuse point of view, because my goodness, we just got this all-star back now for our playoff drive type.
He wants to be in the NHL
all day with everything.
Yeah.
But to have one of the coolest moments when Tampa won, to go down in that room, there was a Syracuse chant in there. When they, myself, Howard, our owner, and Vance Lederman, our CFO, walked in, and
sounds like you guys are doing it right then. If they're doing that,
but what a moment, right? Like, in that moment, and the numbers were staggering on this one though too. So 4 of the 5 coaches had come through our program. 5 of their 6 hockey executives had come through our program, and 18 players, 18 out of their 23 main guys.
18 of them had played for
in that first one. The number's gone down a little since, as guys have been moved on and everything. But, I mean, even in that group, outside of a Stamkos and Hedman, man, Vasilevsky, Kucherov, Point, Palat, John, main guys, all came through.
Kucherov played in Syracuse?
Yeah, and the plan was a year. He played 18, 20 games, something like that. He should have been there.
Braden Point did?
Braden Point did. Vasilevsky did. And
really?
And it's like, Brent, it was almost like that Detroit model, right? Where the guys really did go down for a little bit and learn a little bit before they went on.
Yeah.
And go. And, some weren't long. Point wasn't here long. Vasilevsky a little longer.
It doesn't seem like that happens anymore, though, right?
No, it doesn't. But look at the success it did there, too.
Right. Well, to have and it's like you talk about guys' windows. To be ready for your window, there's guys that get their opportunity at 18, and then when they weren't ready and they go down to the AHL, their confidence is so shot, and it's hard to play without confidence, that they never do become that player they could have been if they would have just had more time. And then when they get their window, it's
you got to be ready.
You got to be ready. And like for me, when I went to Syracuse, I wasn't ready. I didn't know
but you weren't. It was twofold. You weren't put in position to be ready either.
No. And like it was
Tampa. I can't ever say you can't deal in definites in the sport world. I don't think a situation where an athlete graduated and then took 2 weeks off, kind of, be with your guys, have your goodbyes, and then be expected to play. I don't think that would ever happen in this situation. That kid still might come to here, but he's not playing until he's ready.
Right. And then like the stick thing was bizarre. But anyways, John Cooper, I want to bring him up because he seems like the type of coach you'd want to play for. That he seems like he'd be the type of guy that is very honest with them. That like when they're brutal, he's like, you guys were brutal. But when they're good, he's like, okay, well, that's what is expected. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Brandon, he was never my coach. Obviously, I worked with him hand in hand. And to this minute, I would run through a wall for that man. What a human being. He uses wit, character. I always joke, like with some of our previous organizations, every single player that was sent here was the first call up. That Tampa doesn't do that. So as soon as you make that first call up, you've just alienated 5 guys. Because
sorry, what do you mean there? What was that?
When we were with other organizations before, other parent clubs, as guys were getting cut from camp, it was very common. Go down to Syracuse, you'll be the first guy called up.
And they'd say that to 5 to 6 guys.
5-6 guys. So what happens when that first call up comes?
The other guys are really, really sour.
Yep. I've been in the room with Julian when he's cutting guys, and he is honest to a degree. I mean, obviously we make mistakes, but
I think that's the only way to be, is to be honest.
You have to be. Why wouldn't you be any other way? I think there's one of our founding fathers who said something to the effect, something along, if you always tell the truth, then you never have to worry about what you said type of thing. But with Tampa, they're human. You're a human being. You're a hockey player, but you're also a person. You're a whole thing,
and And the thing is what I learned when like this in Cardiff, I went there right when the new ownership took over and Todd Kelvin takes his team over, and his way of bringing his thought was happy hockey players play better. And that it comes from your wives, that comes from what your children got going on, that comes from the fans, that comes from your cars, that comes from your apartments. Yep. And every single thing, like we showed up that day in Cardiff, and on the crib there's a Walton 18 baby size jersey for our son, right? Well, and it's like all of a sudden I'm ready to go through a wall for this team because you do that for me. Where you go to other teams and they're like, well, your car's not ready, you got the grocery stores down there.
And I don't know why it took us so long to figure it out, but with us now, if you have a baby during the year, you get a beautiful crib with the baby's name on it. Your wives are getting flowers all the time. Every staff member's wives get flowers during training camp, because their husbands and spouses are away for so long. And you couldn't be more. One thing that John Cooper did that I'll always remember was he broke the team up, and him and the coaching staff would go to different apartments for dinners. And then at the end of the year, they would rate them. But it wasn't just as simple. Like they did hardcore PowerPoint video slides on the cuisine, the setup. John reads a room as well or better than anyone I've ever met. And, he wanted the athletes there from morning, noon, and night. His thought process was the more time you are together, the more we're going to be able to do this. And you can see that with that group that he won in Norfolk, and then he came here and we went to the finals. Unfortunately, we lost, but that group, and just to rattle off the names and how long they've been with him. I mean, Andre Palat has been with him since 2012 until he just signed in New Jersey. The Rocco Gudises, the Tyler Johnsons, the Richard Panic. It's a good.
You got the research team. You're already right. Yeah, like Killorn, Tyler Johnson was with them, right? Like,
yep. Tyler was our MVP that year, and you have the players, coaches. John is it should be his face in the dictionary if you're a player coach.
Right.
I don't think you'll hear.
So how does he say there's a guy that shows up in college and then wasn't quite ready for it and can't use his sticks? How would he deal with him? And he's a little bit sour because you thought you were showing up to play on the top three lines and get a little, maybe at least play in the power play because that's what you do. And then how would he deal with that?
There's no template for it for sure. Sometimes he would be the one delivering the message. Sometimes it would be an arm around a shoulder. Sometimes it would be a little bit of a kick. But what John also does was use the assets around him. John's network is huge. He relied on the leadership of the team so much to police the room. John didn't get involved in that kind of stuff. Our room was run by Mike Angelides and Eric Nielsen and Mark Barbario, all members of that leadership.
And then wasn't Luke Witkowski?
Yeah, your college brethren, right?
Well, yeah, he's alumni there. Yeah, I met him once. So when he had just been out of Red Wings training camp when he was in college, and I was there for a wedding. Only time I ever met him.
He's going to lose a record next year. He has a
that was the Kaiser. That's the wrong guy. I've never met Witkowski.
No, Luke is one of Luke played 7 different seasons so Luke went through the same exact situation you did but for John got called up in March of that year to Tampa. So I didn't see him, but Luke came right after he left for that. Luke didn't play for that first run. He was with us. He didn't play, but Luke evolved into our captain and he made a tremendous impact. I mean, Syracuse blue collar town, that.
Yeah.
Luke
is a blue collar player.
Oh, yeah. Huge. And he's a big miss. He got his shoulder injury during the COVID year. And that was sad. And I was kind of upset when he played for Grand Rapids recently because his entire minor league was only Syracuse. He played a lot of Detroit, Tampa, and that. But what the other thing they do, and again, I'll go off on my love for Tampa here in a second. I use it a lot in the front office. Like, why would you ever call? Like when I get a resume for a job application, Brent, I'm not calling the people who are listed as references. What are they going to say? They're going to say nice things, right?
Yeah.
About the person. I want to dive deeper. Julian and John are calling assistant trainers from their junior teams to try and find what is this guy like when they're not around.
Yeah.
If our owner, my boss, was here right now, I'd act a little differently, even if it's subconscious. Like I hope to get to a comfort level, but he's still my boss at the end of the day.
Well,
we want to know what the people are like what are you real? What do you like? Type of thing.
Yeah. And that's actually part of doing this and starting this was like, when I got back from hockey, it was like, I've been a hockey guy. Now I got to get into business and I got to be this business guy. And it wasn't like I can be myself. I can be who I am. And starting this has helped me realize being the same guy all day is way more fun.
Oh, is it ever? I couldn't agree more with you. And maybe that's what people like you very well articulated by you. Maybe that's one of John's strengths is people can feel like they can be themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can play hockey way better when you feel like yourself, man. Like, my time in Syracuse was the hardest of my hockey career. And I think that like, I'm not going to ask those guys to come to the shed, the coaches, the way they never spoke with me. They never helped me. They never said you should work on this. You should work on that. It was just like, this is the lineup. And
I don't get it.
Like go back to the marks and have an app or you bag skate for a while, but you know what? Bag skate and then come do the warm up and then your jersey won't be there. And we're not going to say anything to you. It's like, okay.
Unfortunately. Well, going back to that too, because it just happened our last game. We had a kid from Western Canada, Tyson Feist is his name. He's coming back on an American League contract this year. He knew the night before he was taking warm-ups, but not playing in the game.
Right. And that's fine. That's okay. You're not gearing up all day. You're not doing your pregame meal. You're not having your pregame nap. You're not nervous. You're not, you know what? And then if that guy ended up playing, he'd probably play better if something happened in that warm-up.
What did you think? Yeah. All that nervous anxiety's out because
you're just warming up like, and then you're like, oh, really? Then you're ready.
I've said this to and I don't mean any disrespect to our previous affiliates. I've said this to countless employees and players. I kind of cut off a finger to have them all come back and spend some time in our current setup. I'm just, it's night and you can see from those postcard photos. Just look at it. It's like we've said, there's winning cultures and there's the other. Okay, so we've gone over a lot of this, but poster pictures, we're still on that. Holy moly, we could be here for a while. I'm sorry. Yeah, you got to kick me if I'm talking too much.
No, that we're right on track. Actually, we're probably going through all the notes without me looking at them, but the outdoor game, let's talk about that one first. Which one was first? The outdoor game?
Yeah, outdoor was first. And
where was that?
That was it was February 20th of 2010. So you just missed it.
2010,
2010. It was kind of like our coming out party that really put us on the map. We had the guts to do it. We had an owner who could do it. We did it on a dirt track at a fairgrounds.
In Syracuse.
We were the fourth outdoor game. Fenway, there was a college game and the Buffalo game. So we used the company that did the Buffalo game. And I know folks were getting mad because they sent in Dan Craig to look at the ice, which we didn't need. No disrespect to him. We had a great local gentleman, Jim Hartnett, who has become a big part of our Crunch family, was kind of our ice what was our ice expert for that. But we wanted
everything would have been good, but they brought
they did, and I get that because it wasn't a stadium or anything, but it you can see from the picture it wasn't like a football stadium where the rink's in the middle or a baseball. I mean, it was there.
So that was that a horse track racing?
It was a horse track. Yep, we wound up with over 21,000 people for it, and it looked like it was made for it. It was so intimate.
It looked cool. So they could act. Part of the outdoor games that I never understood as a fan is it's really just a party because you can't see what's going on on the ice.
And we that
picture you sent for your poster, that looked like every person had a pretty good seat.
There were none, and I know that's cliche, but there weren't. I remember the league called me the night before and said, like in Fenway Park, because that was the most recent MLB one that had it. They had to pipe in the sound, the hockey sounds through the PA. I'm like, guys, you're right on it. I mean, you're going to hear everything. So we didn't wind up doing it. But it was a special moment. We had the skydiver bringing the puck. We had Jesse James Decker now sing the national anthem. We had the flyover. How many hockey teams in our league have flyovers from the local 174th here? What a special moment.
And you're part of organizing a lot of that then.
Yeah, that was one of my big first all in baby. I mean, I joined the Crunch in 95 as an intern, and I did PR for my first 6 years. I was very lucky. My career is really boring. My plan was to go back to Long Island. I wanted to work for the Islanders or a hometown team.
Don't go through all of it just yet. We're not
okay. We'll go back to that then.
No, but you're not. Your career is not boring at all.
I was going to say boring in the sense I'm in one place.
No, but okay. So let's get into then let's start then. We'll get into the outdoor games. We'll get to them.
Okay.
Growing up in Franklin Square, New York, how do you get into hockey?
Yeah, I never played. My childhood, I was the kid. Paint the picture. I didn't own my first pair of jeans till I got to college. So I'd rush home from school. I had all my scrapbooks for Yankees and Islanders. I'd cut out the articles and put them in, and I religiously listened and watched every Yankee and Islander game. I was born in 73, so I was very blessed. I was age 7 and 80 when that dynasty started. So. Yeah. A cool time to be on Long Island and fall in love with that team. And I knew in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, except I wanted to work for a hockey or baseball team. That was it. I was obsessed with it. So
that's cool that you knew what you wanted though.
Yeah. But I didn't know what within it, I just wanted to be involved. I got the bug. And then the sport management program. So I graduated high school in 91, and it's not like today.
Where's Franklin Square?
So it's a mile from the Belmont racetrack. So I'm the first town in from Queens, New York, if anybody knows that. So now I'm about a mile or so from the new Islander Arena is where I grew up.
Right. And do you know what? The Shed is big Islanders fans.
Really?
Yeah. Tom Kuhnhackl played for them.
That's right. Yep.
And I played in Landshut, Germany. And then, anyways, we went and watched them play one night and met a bunch of the guys, and we did it twice. And then one night, Tom Kuhnhackl wasn't there, and it was in the Red Wings arena, and we pretended to be part of the crew and everything, and met all the players and snuck down to the basement, and it was a great time. And all the players, they took pictures with us, and it was awesome. And I was wearing a Cardiff Devils sweater, and Lou Lamoriello was eyeing me up like crazy. I'm in the friends and family section at a Cardiff Devils sweater for the Islanders, and he was eyeballing me. I got my pictures though.
Fair enough.
So we're big Islanders fans.
Oh, I love it. That's my whole family. My family's all still Long Island, and I know both of Tampa's Stanley Cups had to go through the Islanders to get to them, and those were some tough series for my family.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it was. So did you ever play hockey?
No, it was big roller hockey growing up. I never played professionally or really organized. At college, I very, very confidently can say I had the coolest job. I was the Zamboni driver for 3 of my 4 years in college.
Nice.
Which was very good. And
where'd you go?
It was SUNY Cortland. So in 91.
You've been in New York like your whole life then, or what?
Yeah, and it wasn't. I needed a sport management. There weren't a ton of them. Like Cortland was a strong program, still is a great program. I did my intern, so I graduated in 95 from there with a sport management degree. I was living with a kid from Alaska who actually ironically was on the hockey team. I was going to go back that summer to live with him and work on the boat and do that whole thing, which I'm glad I didn't. I got to Seattle.
Get on a boat in Alaska? That's what you're going to do?
Yeah, because you didn't know then. My now wife, I had been dating, but I didn't know what was going on. And Brent, I think I cried from central New York all the way to Seattle because I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I was so
when you scared. First leave school, and then it's the same as when hockey comes to an end, right? Idea. Like the anxiety of what the hell is next?
No idea. So I had a job interview with the Seattle Thunderbirds. They offered me a half job, like a half internship, half job. I decided, screw it, I'm going home. I flew home, bought an engagement ring, proposed to my wife, and I got an internship with the Syracuse Crunch. And
were they with an NHL team at that point?
They were. They were with the Vancouver Canucks. So my first 5 years I was with Vancouver. And
out of Syracuse, New York.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah,
that makes sense.
That was a little difficult there towards the end. So out of so August of 95, I got there. In December of 95, the PR guy left, and I was in the right place at the right time. And I got my first opportunity. And you fast forward a couple years, it was a 2001, same thing. Our COO left, and I got a call from the owner, and he said, "You're running my team now." And I said, "Oh."
And then the owner said that to you.
I definitely didn't think I was ready. That ultimately is what I wanted to do. But
yeah,
he said, "You're running my team now." And I remember I called the staff together and I said, "Hey guys, I think I'm your new boss." So and that's always hard going, for the folks that you're in the trenches with, and now you're their boss. But
and like it's like actually the same for me in the real world was I started an industry I didn't know anything, and then I started doing a role that I didn't know anything, and everything I learned, right? I got better at it, and then became the supervisor of the people that all helped me learn it. And it's like, wow, so you like it, you got to be treating people right when you're in the trenches, right?
Without question,
or it's not going to work.
No.
Yeah, and obviously you probably were, right?
No, it was managerial wise. Every kind of like right now, my biggest challenge is trying to make sure I continue to relate now that I'm getting a little bit older. Like I'm relating to the needs of this group that's coming in. Back then it was, like just same thing you went through. Now these are the people that literally yesterday I was one of, and now I'm not one of them.
Yeah. Okay, I got a question though. You won. So at that year you just said 2001. You said someone left, you got it the position, but that's the year you win the award, the Ken McKenzie Award for Outstanding Executive in PR and Marketing in the AHL.
Yeah, no, I'm very proud of those. But and I know this
is it something specific you did that year, or
no,
were you just running amok?
I won it after the outdoor game. I think the outdoor game had a lot. I think that one was very cumulative. And I hope this doesn't come across cheesy, but they really are team awards. I know it's my name on it, but I mean, you think about marketing, promotion, that everybody in the staff is doing
it. But it's hiring the right people when you're posting those jobs, right?
Absolutely. And the crunch, we had 4 by the time I won my second one. That was the 4th one from the team in 15 years. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really a nod in the top, a lot to Howard Dolden, our owner, who's a marketing and PR genius, to allow us to do all of this stuff.
You have to have the people that give you the right tools to do the job.
I mean, people now might say I might be full of it here, but in the moment in 2010, there were not a lot of owners who would have greenlighted an outdoor game like that.
Right.
Because of the risk. I mean, that's not cheap to put on. I mean, those games are expensive.
No, and then if the ice isn't right or something happens, or the weather,
you're out. You're out with it. It's not like the NHL, which is a little bit better funded, or a college, a D1 program that's much better funded. We stuck our necks out on that, and then we did it again in 2014 with the
and
Dome.
Did you make some money though on the outdoor game?
Yeah, the outdoor game worked out well. I mean, these weren't grand slams, but the model worked well for us. I mean, anytime we try to do an event like that, whether it's ticketing or sponsorship, the 2 main areas, not to get into or to bore your listeners too much with the details. Like we didn't have any of the parking, we didn't get any of the concessions.
Don't worry about the listeners. This is about me.
No, I love it.
I have questions, and when you do your MBA, you got different questions that you used to have, right?
Well, we've reconnected now. We can talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, the concession. So it's what'd you bring in for that? You bring
so the model with those, like the models with those is like either of the categories. Like ideally, your corporate support would cover the expenses and all the tickets are to the good, or vice versa. With all that, it doesn't always work out that way. I've always thought we have a very strong corporate connection to the community here. I think a little bit more than some of the other teams. A lot of teams sell more tickets than we do and do a better job at that. I think our strength is the corporate side of it with it. So that one was okay. And the Dome was the same thing. They were kind of like singles and doubles, not grand.
So for the folks that don't know, there was the outdoor game at the dirt track, right? At the horse track race.
Yes.
But then you also hosted it was, I don't know if it still is, but for an indoor hockey match, the most attended game ever, you hosted at the Syracuse Dome. The university there, the Orange.
It still is. It's the largest crowd as we're talking right now. It's still the largest crowd in America, not North America. We wanted it all, but the largest crowd in America to watch a pro hockey game indoors, which I'm very proud of.
Well,
we were also able to set, the Division III record as well. We had Oswego State play Utica College prior to that, and that set a record as well too. And it's kind of a safe record because there's not a lot of buildings like that that can have that capacity.
Well, when you talk in your shed, you get stuck in different honey holes of hockey. New York has a strong hockey scene.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
With all the universities, you got the AHL, you got the East Coast still, right? Or is there still East Coast teams?
Yeah, Adirondack is still in the coast. Elmira, Watertown, Binghamton are all in a federal hockey league, so they still.
And then there's like Clarkson, Union. There was all those schools we'd play, right?
RPI, RIT. It's a very strong Division III programs with Plattsburgh. Oswego State is a powerhouse.
The Purple Portland, Eagles of Niagara.
Corey Conacher of Canisius as well too. Help them, gain a little bit. You're right. And Hamilton, Colgate, St. Lawrence. Yeah, no, there's quite a few.
It's a hockey hotbed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I better get back to some of my other questions, right? So when parent clubs change in the AHL with your role, how does this happen? How does it switch teams? How does it switch parent teams? Are they contacting you, the owner? Like, why did Columbus leave and now Tampa comes in? Because realistically, you've been raving about Tampa for a long time. And the whole time I keep thinking Syracuse ain't that close to Tampa.
No, but and that's a great question. And I'll dive through because we had Anaheim for 2 years in between that didn't work out. But the Tampa, and it goes back to Vancouver too. So the way Tampa looks at it is the one athlete's going up and down, right? Who gets called up. They're more or as concerned with the whole. So I joke, between Rochester and Utica, we're in our bed on Saturday night, but I'm sorry, in our bed by Saturday Night Live on road games. And that's their attraction here is us as a whole. Our travel is wonderful compared to
playing in Syracuse. And if they were playing in the AHL from Florida, they would have a terrible.
You think about it, like, so for example, if they were close to Florida, or to Tampa, which everyone would think, you're losing almost 2 practice days for every trip. Like Tampa, they want the practice days, and we provide that. You have, so San Diego, for example, they're losing a day to get to wherever they're going, and a day to get back. It's tough.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
but so how does it change though? How like when you say it doesn't work out with Anaheim and then like Columbus?
Yeah, so you marry people, right? Not teams, right? So we did the deal with Tampa. With Columbus, we did the deal. So Vancouver wanted to get closer. So boom, we had an opening. Columbus, it all worked out timing wise. They were looking for a team. The league president, Dave Andrews at the time, now Scott Housen, helps put us in touch with each other. So we did 7 years with Doug McLean, and then Scott Housen inherited us and we inherited him. And there was a big push from ownership to bring it closer. And they eventually went to Cleveland. They wanted to kind of secure it, which kind of left us out of the mix.
Right.
So Anaheim was open. We went to them, and that was not the Anaheim. It was tough, and
you're calling what, the GM?
The first thing you do is you call the league, you call our team president. Hey, it looks like we're not going to renew our partnership. What's out there? Yeah, he kind of matches. He knows everything. He's phenomenal. He'll know all the deals and who's.
This is the guy at the league.
Yeah, David Andrews, who was the president. He really. You can't say enough great things about him. He kind of helps guide those conversations. He'll say, oh, Anaheim's not happy here, or Anaheim's going to be without. You talk to them. So then that all happens at Howard. We'll talk to mainly the hockey people. We did the deal with Bob Murray and the owners, the Samueli family, who were great people. We really enjoyed working with them. Bob, we struggled with in the sense I liken it to, and from being in Syracuse, it was like we invited them into our home and they were in the living room playing a board game and they weren't letting us play with them. Like it was never nothing. They didn't want us wearing crunch on the road. It had to be Ducks. They wanted, I remember, I don't know if it was Bob Murray or David Mcnamee said, no crunch player can wear number 8. I'm like, why? They're like, because it's Teemu Selanne. And it's like, I love you. Tammy Solani has nothing to do with Syracuse.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. That will not resonate at all. But so there was a lot of that. They guarded a lot of stuff.
That just sounds silly.
I just never, because we're community based. You were an independent owner. Like, we're Syracuse.
Yeah.
To be told we couldn't wear Syracuse stuff on the road, and everything was like a nuclear launch code secret. It didn't work out. And when it came, our contract was a 2-year deal with some renewal, with some extensions. We didn't want to extend. So again, you're calling the league saying, hey, who's available? At the time, Julian Breezoir was the point person for Tampa. Steve Eisman was the GM. Julian was the AGM. And he was looking out of Norfolk for a lot of the reasons I just mentioned. The location, mainly because of the geography and the travel. They were taking overnight sleeper buses all the time. There was a lot more wear and tear on the athletes, and we provided a location. That's what we had going for them. Yeah. And the other thing that I think, the kids matter here. Mark Hardigan can't walk through the mall without being recognized. That's part of learning how to be a pro. In some of these cities, no disrespect to them, but if you're playing in some of the bigger cities, you might not have that recognition.
Yeah.
And that was important to Tampa. That might not be important to the next person, but that's important.
But you're right, though. It's every time you're making a deal, it's more about the two people making that deal.
100%. Like, yeah, you and I say Tampa, but we did the deal with Steve and Julian. And so if Julian, whatever, or
so Howard, that would be you and the owner with Steve and Julian hashing her out.
Yep. I never forget. We went down to do the signing of the contract. I don't know if this really matters, but the pen I had exploded in my hand. I had blue ink.
This is the stuff that matters. Yes.
I was the sloppiest guy in the world. And Liz Koharski, God bless her. She's still there. She's wonderful. I've known it. She used to be David Andrews' assistant in the league. She's like that glue in Tampa. She knows everything. As I was going into the meeting, she slipped me a pen. She saw it and everything. So my right hand never went above the desk because it was just filled with ink. I'm in Steve Eiserman's office. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah, with a handful of blue ink.
Oh, so embarrassing. But no, I remember that they kind of shuffled us around a little bit. They didn't want anyone to know that the deal was happening.
Well, and then you end up with them now for 10 years, right? Yeah. And it's like when you meet the right people, you meet the right people.
Yep. And it's a win or lose thing. Like their care factor is off the charts, and that's who I want to be with. I want to be with people, and I think I can teach someone how to do the job, right? I can't teach someone to care or to be passionate. I can't teach that.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying. That's in all of this. That's what we're trying to find, whether it's an athlete or an equipment guy or a medical guy or.
And I think there's that, but then management or bosses, whatever you want to call it, they can make you feel like your position is important and that what you're doing for the whole of the organization is important, or they can make you feel not important.
Just as easily.
Right.
By not talking to you and telling
and then all of a sudden your care factor goes down. Then all of a sudden you're not giving that extra effort. And then all of a sudden that resonates through the whole thing. And then you don't win.
And Brent, I've learned, and I'm sure you've seen this with whether it's teammates or people, it's easy not to care. It's harder to care,
It is, and it's a lot more effort to win than lose.
Yep. And anything,
at anything.
And I'll say it equally, the group I'm with now, this is the hardest group I've ever had to work with, and I wouldn't change it for a second, because it's that onward and upward.
Well, yeah, it's like when people challenge you, it's more fun to be challenged than be bored, right?
Exactly.
Jeez, we're getting deep, eh? We haven't talked since 2007.
I know.
Okay, so we've kind of gone past a lot of my normal trail for these, but so for where and what are you doing now? We know what you're doing, but you have kids?
I do. I have three children. I have my oldest is about to be 23. He's a volunteer goalie coach with Long Island University, so he's in that. It's going into year 3 program. It's a D1 program. Tough home schedule, great road schedule. They're doing
D1 program. What school is it?
It's Long Island University. So they're doing. I think Brent, they're kind of living in the world of transfers right now and stuff. Their road schedule. They're not in a conference yet. They're an independent.
So this is just pretty new.
They hit the Unions. They hit Notre Dame, Anchorage. Fairbanks last year, Anchorage this year, Arizona State. They had a pretty cool road schedule.
Because they can make it up on their own, right? They're just getting out of conference games.
Yes. So his goal is he wants to be a video coach. So we'll see where this, path takes him. He's very excited. And this will be his second year.
Hey, passion, you can't teach it, right?
Exactly. And
it's like me coming out to my shed at 5 a.m. to talk to dudes about their life and hockey. It's like, it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense if you think about it.
You obviously love what you're doing. 10 o'clock and no, for sure. And so then I have a 20-year-old. He's going into his junior year of college at SUNY Cortland. So he's a legacy. He's following mom and dad, and kind of same path. He plays on their club hockey team and enjoying that. And then my daughter is 15 and she is all in on dance and a beautiful dancer and enjoying every moment. So I'm a dance dad. I wear my
that shit ain't cheap, eh?
Oh my goodness! You think hockey's expensive? Yeah, that's like low key gymnastics.
Oh, my daughter went to a dance camp, and we took her, and then after the first day, she said she wasn't into it, and I was like, "Oh, thank you, honey," because like right in the deal, it was saying they get to decide how much the outfits cost, whether or not they need new makeup, if they need new outfits, and it's like it was basically like saying there's going to be a blank check and you're going to fill her out to dance.
It's a lot. It's very much like hockey. It's all in,
Well, if you're going to do something, you may as well be all in, right?
No, it's so cool. I mean, it teaches all those things you love about being in an organized sport, the discipline, how do you manage your schoolwork and the lifelong friends that she's going to have out of this. It's so cool. And just at the end of the day, to see the smile and know she's doing something she likes, it's
all about passion, right? Yeah. Do whatever you want as long as you're passionate about it. I'm trying to get my daughter into a season of hockey here, and I really want her to be on a team and get the team dynamics down instead of just doing individual sports. But she seems to really have a shine for gymnastics and be quite good at it.
That's another one.
I know.
That's another one. My daughter did a year of hockey.
Nothing's cheap anymore, is it?
No, well, right. Down the road, you're right.
Yeah, pretty well. Anyways, okay, so that's kind of where and what you're doing now, right? You're the COO of the Syracuse Crunch.
How about that? That's a fancy title. Just a minor league. We do a little bit of everything. And
how many employees would you have?
So right now we just put the staff back up to we're at 16 full-time employees. And
that's for the season then. So
that doesn't include the part-timers or
because the off season there's a bit of a drought there for the folks.
For sure. It's different. Like we change the hours to 9 to 4. It's intense, but there's no events. Like it's intense in the sense that we're in selling season. We want a good off season sets you up for a good year, all that kind of stuff.
And that's the corporate stuff. You're trying to get sponsors that way and plan outdoor events and plan whatever else you're doing.
Exactly.
Right?
And right now it's exactly it. It's a ton of planning. It's working on those projects. We're doing the gym expansion this summer, but it's putting our promotional schedule together, our giveaway schedule, our appearances, the ticket sales, and then we'll turn into the punch list for the hockey side. What do they need when they're getting back? And all those kind of categories. The to-do lists are very big in the off season. I will say that.
I'm sure they are, especially for organizing everything. So what's the difference? What's a day like for a game day for you then?
Yeah, game days are kind of, as I get older now.
Are you napping?
I have taken naps, yes, but I don't leave the arena. So like anything, I know you're doing it now that you're managing people too. Like it's almost a prevention where I'm there in case something goes wrong a lot of times now. So the tactile,
you're being proactive about things to make sure nothing. Yeah.
So I'll get in early. I'll sit with the coaching staff in the morning. Hey, what do you need? What's going on? Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour. I do the same thing with the staff. We have 2 big game day meetings every game day, 1:00 and 4:30. We play our home games at 7. The 1:00 is full timers only, just to kind of make sure any last minute things that happened.
And how many are the full timers?
So, and that's the 16 of us.
Okay.
We'll be at that.
There's that many, eh?
No, it really isn't. And I always say as part of our pitch when we're trying to hire, an NHL team may have about 100, 115, 120. we do the same thing they do on a smaller scale, but we do all the same things.
So how many seats does the Syracuse have?
So we're at 6,110 is what we hold in is our capacity. And we average pre-COVID, I should say, because we're trying to get it back now. We're about 5,400 is our average.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was always a pretty packed barn when I was in there.
Yeah. I was going to say, we had a couple good years. We had a couple lean years with Columbus, but it's 5,461 looks kind of full. I mean, we still,
the year I showed up, we were going to the playoffs, right? And then the Columbus team didn't make the playoffs. Then all Hardigan and Pascal Leclerc and all the boys came down.
Right.
Then that's when I went back to college. So anyway, so then you do the couple meetings with the on ice crew, and then the game happens, and you're there just supporting everybody and whatever.
You want to be seen, right? You go through the suites, make sure everybody's comfortable there. I run through the stands, check in with each of the employees, watch a little bit of the game. Some nights I hide. No, I'm kidding.
No. So how much of the games do you get to see?
Road games, all of it. That's why I like it. The road games are much better for me because I really get to see. Home games, surprisingly, I won't get to see too much.
You wouldn't.
It's inevitable because you're always running around and doing stuff.
So then, do you go to many road games?
Yeah, less and less. I mean, in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was going to all of them. And then, I'm down, I think right before the COVID hit, I was in that 20 to 25 out of the 38. Now we're down to 36, and I'll probably be back 15 to 20 now.
So you guys have come close to winning it though a couple times. Yeah. In the finals, eh?
Yeah, lost same team.
Same team?
I love my Stanley Cup rings, but I really want to call the cup ring.
Well, and because it would mean more to you, right?
Of course. Well, because we live it every minute.
And it's interesting to me, right? When you talk around people in Canada and all they know is the Stanley Cup. That's all there is, right? That's all there is. There's nothing else. You like winning anything else doesn't really mean anything. But like there's a champion in all these other countries. And like the AHL, those guys that win that trophy are bonded for life.
And look at you. Yes.
Well, and that's like winning in Germany or winning in, whatever. Like that's your Stanley Cup for the year. Yep. You're a Syracuse Crunch employee. You're not a Tampa Bay Lightning employee. And you've been running that ship for 27 years. You win that, right? That means more than a Stanley Cup, and people may not get that.
Isn't it weird? You're right. I mean, the Stanley Cup rings are awesome. I'm so proud of them, but
you're
a
part of that though. You are a part of that.
Yeah, but
you're not the captain of the ship kind of thing.
Yeah, not like this. Like I'm not in the trench. Like I'm in a different trench with them. Literally, I'm in 1,800 miles away or whatever distance we are. No, the Syracuse one, my goodness, would it ever, and all those things. I dream about it often. And to be close twice, we lost to the Grand Rapids Griffins both times.
And so much is out of your hands though, right?
Isn't it funny? Yeah.
Like you don't pick the players. You're setting up a deal with a team. They're picking the coaches, they're picking the players, and you're just there, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Without it depends on who you're with. You might have a little bit of influence, but at the end of the day, that's what they do. They're the experts, and you're right, but you got to choose the right people, to be. Yeah. But even more so, I'll remember in 12-13, we had beaten Springfield to advance to the finals, and driving home, Detroit and Chicago were playing, and Chicago knocked out the Detroit Red Wings. And that meant Nyquist, Mrazek, the goalie.
Did you just say that Detroit knocked out who?
I'm sorry, Chicago Blackhawks knocked out Detroit.
Yeah.
Which sent Thomas Tatar, Nyquist, and the goalie all down to Grand Rapids. I was like, damn it, here we go.
Yeah.
It wasn't a defeat.
And is it not bizarre though that I know it's one organization, but you're in the middle of a series and you're bringing in three studs to a best.
Think about out of control. If Detroit wins that game 7,
they don't come.
We have a hell of a lot better chance to win.
Well, and it's just the hockey I grew up being a part of. The junior hockey in Elmira, Ontario, we're going to win the Southern Cup, and I'm playing with my friends from home and the guys they bring into town. That was my team.
Yeah.
Guys weren't leaving. Guys weren't going up. They weren't going down. That was my team, and that's how I grew up playing hockey. I wasn't part of the OHL where there's really trades and everything. And then I went to NCAA, and that's my team.
That's your team. Yeah.
I got 4 years to try to figure out how to make this team win, which didn't happen. But then you get to the AHL, and like, it's not a team. Like, that's not a team. Bringing in 3 dudes. You're telling me the guy that's on the first power play that is about to win a Calder Cup, and then they bring those guys down and he's not in the first power play, that final game, is not pissed off going into that game?
How about that? And that's the dynamic that we have. That's what makes this league so unique. Yeah.
It is a unique league.
It really is. It is. So you grew up playing MI, but you were born in Georgetown, right?
Well, that's where I was born, but I was gone by 1 to Elmira. Yeah.
Oh, you were? Okay. I was going to say, we've only had one other Crunch alum born in Georgetown.
Who's that?
He's in the NHL right now as an assistant coach. He retired with us. He head coach in Sudbury. He had 2 different coaching stints with us. He was the head coach in Abbotsford last year.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. He was my assistant coach.
That's right. So there you were there. The one of the 2 times. Yeah, Trent Cull.
I think he was the second year with the.
So you had Gary Agnew Rosh Yates was year 1 for you, and then Rosh Yates, Trent Cull year 2.
Correct. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Trent just got the call up.
I saw that he's going to the NHL. Eh?
Yeah, after all those years, he's never done anything NHL. I was very happy for him.
No, so for sure. And that's the thing is, though, grinding it out for all those years, and like being an American League coach isn't easy, right?
No,
no. Like the travel, the ups and downs, the different lineups you get, the different, and like that he's stuck with it all these years, and he's getting a call up. That's pretty well done, right?
Yeah, very proud and happy for him. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good for him. Okay, what else do I got? Yanni Gourde, though.
I love him.
Yeah.
What a great story. I mean, undrafted, right? Playing on a PTO.
But he was in the coast too, right?
He was. Yep. He was in the coast. He was in Worcester. I know our area, one of our Tampa Bay executives, Jamie Pusher, was watching, and we were kind of waiting until that deal expired. We gobbled him up, and you want to talk about a guy who's, kind of worked. He had to work for everything, and he was one of those special moments. It's funny. Now with the phones, I take pictures when all the guys sign their first contracts. I was showing some of the younger staff, some of the guys, and his popped up with signing his first NHL contract. Not the big one he signed, but that one. And that's it, right? That's like what we do,
That's what you're there for, and like you get to be a part of those moments. And like, no, you watch that kid play, man. Like, you can tell how he got up there because like he is trying harder than everybody else.
a super cool family person. His wife Marie is a doll. I love her to death. It's good family. I'm very happy for him. He's a guy so easy to root for.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome when the guys are who you want them to be, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. They always say never meet your idols, right? With some of the stuff, but no, Yanni, I would, Yanni, you can't find people who can't root for a guy like that. He's everything you think. And
it's like Trevor Freshman, right?
What a great dude. I love him.
When I was in Dayton with him, and like it was me and him going up or down for each other, and it's like he was my best buddy on the team still. And like then I go to Germany, I go to Europe and do my thing. And then a couple years later, I see him play his first NHL game, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, holy shit, he did it. He grinded it out, and he's playing in the NHL.
Yeah. I'm so happy for him.
And you get to see that shit all the time, eh?
Yeah, no, but you too. I mean, it's I just happen to physically be a little bit closer, but that's what we try to build with our whole base, right? It's,
well, and I liked watching the NHL a lot more when I knew the guys that were playing in it, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Now that I'm not part of those young guys coming up, it's hard to care who wins.
No, it really is. But I try hard with this is the one thing all of us have in common is at least that name crunch, right? That's what we can always come back to.
Oh yeah.
I gotta plug in my computer. Am I allowed to go? I got to do that real quick.
You better hurry up though, because I'm going to just pause it right now.
All right, I'm back.
He's plugged in, folks.
I'm back.
Yeah, he's back. Here's a guy then. I got Yanni Gourde written down, coast to show, but then right beside him, I got written down Mike Mcnamee. He was there about as long as me. Do you remember him?
I remember him. I do remember his number. He was 14. I don't remember.
Do you know what he's doing now?
No, I don't.
Ever heard of the musician Boston Levi?
Boston Levi. I'm not great in music.
Well, the Spittin' Chicklets fellas just had him on their last show thingy.
Okay.
And that's him.
Come on.
Yeah, man. Yeah. He retired. So during COVID, he was playing for Cardiff, went to the coast for a tiny little bit, and then decided he was going to be done and focus on music. And he is Boston Levi, and he just played for the Spittin' Chicklets thing there.
Come on. Oh, I got some homework to do tonight.
Yeah, cool. He is very, very good. And,
I am writing this one down.
Yeah, no, he is going to be a superstar, and he's a Cardiff Devil and Syracuse Crunch alum, and Shed guy.
Wow. Oh, that's great. Oh, Brent, thank you for sharing that.
Okay, so who else is there? I got Witkowski written down, but he was the captain, but that was before Cooper then, eh?
He came after Cooper. So
what about Brandon Mickelson? He was a Cardiff Devil.
Yeah, I remember him. He was with Cooper. If I remember correctly, he had a bigger impact when he was with Norfolk. With everything, I tried to go through as many of the Cardiff guys as I could to see if there were any crossover. I know you're one of. I had our guy look. You're one of 4 Western Michigan guys to play for us. I'm going to look at my list.
4.
Yeah, we
Witkowski?
mentioned. Yeah, you, Luke, and then 2 other gentlemen who played for a hot second for us. Mike Witten played way, way back in the mid-90s for us.
Don't know who that is.
And then Josh Pitt.
Oh, yeah, Josh Pitt. Big,
yes,
tall, left-handed shot winger.
Yes, he would have played 1 or 2 games for us. Same type of situation. So that's our connection to Western Michigan.
I don't know Josh Pitt, but I think I saw Western Michigan play once and remember. And I got issues when I see a hockey game. I remember everybody. That's got issues. Wonderful. It's weird. It really is weird.
Yeah, it is.
So some of the guys I got written down though from our 2 years together that I thought were quite memorable. Okay. So Mark Hardigan, we talked about him and when he went up to the NHL that year, and we talked about how there was opportunity with Columbus. In the AHL that year, 49 games played, 75 points, 34 goals. And you think with a team like Columbus that's just getting going, a guy's getting 75 points in 49 AHL games, you shouldn't be there that long.
I remember anytime he wound up, like from watching or if I saw it, I thought the puck was going in. He went on some streaks there a lot.
Yeah.
And you're right. And he has 2 Stanley Cup rings. He's got
and he is a beauty. And talking about guys that make you feel comfortable, feel at home.
Yeah.
He was a guy, I don't think it was the first year, it was the next year. He didn't want to be in Syracuse. He wanted to be up, right? And yes. I was right at the bottom, but I was a college kid like him that had signed, I think like a free agent like he had, but my sister came to Syracuse to watch a game. And that fella who was like close to the NHL, been in the NHL, and I'm just like the bubble East Coast AHLer. He took my sister and I out for a time. The 3 of us went out for a time on the town.
Mark.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. A good guy. Yeah.
Great guy. Yeah.
That's for sure.
And it's people doing things like that. You don't forget it, right?
You don't ever, especially in those early years. Like for you, I mean, you're just turning pro.
You're impressionable those first couple days out, right?
It's funny you said that. It's one of the things I always say when folks talk to me about the differences. And obviously, I've never worked in the NHL, but the athletes, when they come through here with us, I use that phrase a lot. They are impressionable because they don't know. I mean, they're
never done it before.
They're trying to learn. They're on their best behavior. They want to impress, and
they're somewhat like kids, right? Like you're getting kids out of OHL, like they're like 19, 20 years old, and like they're out there in the world by themselves now.
Absolutely.
Right? Like
you had a lot of nice guys on that team. I remember Joe Motzko,
was a great guy.
Yeah, good family guy. Andrew Murray, awesome family guy. I don't know if you had a lot of interaction.
And that's the thing, though, that I find interesting about that organization back then is the fellas running it were from out East Canada, where everybody I meet are fantastic dudes. And then you talk about the guys they were signing. in the organization. They were signing
great
dudes.
They really
guys on Syracuse there was a lot of great dudes on that team. Motzko, Andrew Murray. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, look, other name, Greg Malden, a solid dude. Aaron Johnson might have been the happiest, nicest guy.
And he played in Sheffield, but I never did meet him. He was one of those guys that was
you never.
He's
like
up together? At the start of the year, and then I'm gone, and then like everybody knows Johnny, but like, I never did.
It's funny you said Trevor Frischman. For whatever reason, the name that I always remember we were flip-flopping with you was Jeff Swez. Do you remember that name?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why.
No, you're right. Jeff Swez won the job over me, but he was a big, tough guy that could play the fourth line, third line, and they chose him over me. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know, because I just remember that I always had you guys tied in for whatever reason.
No, you're right. No, and we were also in the Marks, the hotel there together. Yeah,
that's right.
He ended up staying there the whole year, and it's tough for guys when you're young and you have your goals and you think you can do things, and then a guy that's on an East Coast AHL deal, or a couple of them, are playing ahead of you, and you're on a one-way AHL deal. It can suck some days.
Yeah, and like you said, though, that goes back to not putting you in the right position. And this isn't a knock on the hotel, but you don't have a kitchen. Like you can't
cook food. Like
you're not taking care. Excuse me, you're not taking care of your body. At the level, you're at a disadvantage to a guy who might be able to.
Absolutely. Definitely. Having a kitchen and being able to cook your own food and have groceries is a big thing as a professional athlete.
Yes, we have changed that since you have left as well, too.
Jeepers. Hey, you guys are really doing it. Okay. Other guys that I remember, Joachim Lindstrom.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about those 2 years, though. That guy was as skilled as a hockey player gets. And then he goes from there to playing some games in the NHL with a few different teams, but then he's leading the Swedish league in scoring like every year.
Yeah. He had a great European career.
Yeah.
Very soft-spoken. I remember the day he
arrived. Fantastic guy.
He really was. Jim Clark was our GM at the time, and he had just gotten here. And I don't know what was going on with the agent, but I had to have him sign a contract. And I gave it to him. I said, "Can you please sign this?" And he said, I'm uncomfortable. I want to talk to my agent, which is 100% his right.
He hadn't signed the contract before he got there.
Well, the thought was they agreed to it, but physically, he hadn't
actually signed it.
Yes. So I called Jim back. I said, Lindstrom's not signing it. So he said, get him in the office right now. So I get him in. He put Jim on speaker, and it was a very one-way conversation saying, listen, sign this right now. It's been agreed to, or else you're getting sent back home on the next plane. So Joachim, he signed the contract and went back downstairs to get ready.
Well, one thing it's interesting once you've been to Europe, though, is like there are guys in Europe, they're making as much or more money playing at home in their home cities than playing in the NHL. And for them to uproot themselves, come over here, and it's a language barrier, and it's like trying to sign that big deal, or like to do the NHL thing, because that's what everybody thinks. You got to do the Stanley Cup, but like some of them have such great setups at home that they're fine. They're good. They're happy.
It really is. We just lost a kid back, Amir Mifnikov, a goalie, a Russian goalie. He had another year left on his NHL deal. He asked out for it because of what he could get at home.
Right. And be at home, right? Where his family is.
Yep. Yeah, no, I get that for sure. One of my favorite guys, I don't know if he's on your list from the years you were with us. Did you cross paths much with Ole Christian Tollefson?
Yeah. Wow.
No. In Europe at all, or?
No, actually, it was with Syracuse. It was, I think it was the first year he was there, but we went to Olive Garden together for a couple lunch dates, and he drove me, and I think he was injured at the time or something, but
what a great player.
Fantastic person from Norway.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, and Norwegian. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he was an awesome guy. Short time with him, but fantastic guy.
Yeah, he played quote unquote forever when he went back home too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But like the way he played, he would get hurt, right? Because he would throw those hits.
He was all about it. Yep, all about the hitting.
Yeah, and
one
then
of the other guys you might have been with
Ben Simon.
And Ben is coaching.
a memory I have of Ben Simon then is like, yeah, he's the coach of Grand Rapids now, right? Was when I get to pro, one of my first practices in Syracuse was we got to drive to the practice arena, whatever it was, like 20 minutes away.
Yep.
And I got in his truck, and there were actual car seats with baby, like kids mitts and like baby wipes in the back seat. And I was like, who, like, I'm playing with dudes with kids now. This is bizarre. And then I ended up being the guy with kids, right?
It all comes full circle.
But I remember like getting into that truck and I'm like, I'm actually playing hockey with a dude with kids.
Multiple kids, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, like guys that are grinding out in the AHL, like the up and downs and
he's
all
another
that
one,
with a wife and 2 kids is like, man, some of the times,
not
right?
Easy.
Well, like, isn't it sometimes guys get called up and the wives get left behind in Syracuse? Does that still happen? Or what?
Unfortunately or fortunately, quite a bit. Yeah, we had a lot.
It's fortunate they get called up, but it's unfortunate they're leaving their families. Right?
No, it's a challenge, and for some people, unfortunately, they might be happy because they get a little break, but that's not the norm. The norm is that they're such a big part of their support system, and to be away from them, it's not.
Well, and that's the thing is guys play better when they're comfortable, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Wow. Not too comfortable though,
True.
Not right. Okay. So Ben's, so then that's that first year I got written down. The other guy though, that year that was unbelievable was Andy Delmore.
Well, defenseman of the year.
I was only there for 6 games, and watching that guy play in the HL, it was ridiculous how much better he was. He was just skate the puck up the whole ice like there's nobody else out there.
His shot was unbelievable. Last I knew at him, he was coaching in Toledo with another Crunch alumni, Dan Watson.
Is that right?
Yeah, in the ECHL. I believe he may have left, and I apologize if I'm wrong on that, but Dan Watson was a defenseman with us for quite a while. Another just unbelievable human being, and you could tell, you knew he would have a lot of success in his post-hockey playing career. And I know Andy, I spoke to Andy within the last year or so about, I think it was about an alumni, but no, on ice, there were very few to find a better defensive year than what he put up that year.
It was insane. Yeah. I think I got it written down here. 72 points in 66 games as a T-man.
Yeah.
and then actually he did sign a one-way that next year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was with Tampa. But okay. So then that next year, who got traded for Motzko that came in. And when I got called up from Dayton near the end of the year, I could not believe it. Zenon Konopka was playing. Our team, the Syracuse team, is pretty well out of the playoffs. And he was playing with a broken hand with a cast on. And I get called up from the coast, and there's the captain playing with a cast on that's been there for like 20 games. He's already the captain of the team. And he was very vocal in the room, playing with a cast on. We're like out of the playoffs. And I'm like, who is this guy?
Zenon Konopka, one of the larger than life individuals I've ever worked with. The day of that trade, it was a big trade because we sent.
It was Motzko and Hardigan, right?
Yeah, for Clay Wilson and Zenon Konopka. And Zenon, I remember he called me from the airport and he said, I'm having trouble with my flight. It wasn't even that. It's like, in his grovelly voice, it was, I'm having trouble making the flight. Do you care if I offer season tickets to anyone who will make a trade with me to get on an earlier flight? I barely even got a word out, and I hear him screaming in the airport, I got to get to Syracuse to play tonight. Anybody wants season tickets if they trade tickets with me? I'm like, what did we just get here? He's screaming to come in. And wow.
High intensity.
Unbelievable. So the next year, we were struggling a little bit. He thought we needed 15 games. We had to win 15 games to make the playoffs. So long story short, we won 15 in a row to end the season to make the playoffs. But what he did is at the end of each game, he had a hammer and a chisel in our locker room, and he would chisel into the concrete cinder blocks we had in there, the number. So the player of the game. And I'm like, Zenon, you're literally destroying our locker room. He comes in the next day with like grout and patch work. It's not going to work. So I had to, we literally bought locker stalls that covered the wall. If you remember, we had that like cubby on the top and the place you sit. He was chiseling a number into the wall after every win.
He was that passionate about winning though. Like,
oh, what a
nobody else cared more. And like for him, everything was about winning it at the end of the year. There was no not making the playoffs.
Yep.
He was going to play with a broken hand, whether it was the AHL, and he was the guy that's up and down NHL, right?
He was.
And there's some of those guys that come down to the AHL and sulk. I saw it firsthand. Guys that come down and sulk. That guy came down and was like, I am going to rip this AHL apart.
He was all in. Oh. And what a group we had there the year after you left. It was him, John Morasti, maybe the toughest individual to ever play in our league. What a monster. We had Tom Sestito, Derek Dorsett.
All on the same team?
All together. It was a tough group, and Zenon was our leader in every sense of the word.
You guys must have just been.
That was a tough group. Just those four alone.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but
they just go out there. I couldn't imagine being on the other team.
Yeah, it was we that was one of those years we really thought we were going to go far, and we went 2 rounds. We didn't make it all the way we wanted to. We lost to Toronto. I believe it was in 7 games. Pascal got hurt, Pascal Leclerc.
Yeah, you guys lost. I remember being back at school and seeing you lost and trying to feel bad, but
you're back at school having
fun.
No,
I was told I wasn't good enough to be in the lineup, so I didn't feel that bad. But no, Pascal Leclerc, wasn't he just that first year? I thought. I don't.
I gotta.
And then Penner came in. Yeah, the guy I met.
Yeah, Andrew Penner. He's a beauty. I love him too.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
With him.
They really were recruiting great dudes in the Syracuse Columbus organization. A lot of those players, like they're Steven Gertzen. We haven't brought him up yet.
Another one. He married a local girl. Still keep in touch with him. A great, another great guy. It's hard. I'm trying to even go through the roster to see. But I mean, hockey though too. I mean, I'm like I mentioned earlier. All those years I've been here, it's probably less than 10 really bad, malicious people, and that says a lot, and you don't find it a lot in our business.
You're right though, and like that you've been doing it this long though, and you remember all these guys, and you're talking about their wives, and it's like, geez, you're gonna have a whole new crew of dudes next year, and then a whole new crew of dudes next year, right? And wives.
Well, David Ling, did you ever cross paths with David Ling?
I played against him. He was in Nottingham. Yeah.
Okay. He said I was so sad when we were leaving Columbus. It was right after the outdoor game, the affiliation. And I remember him kind of lifting my spirits a little bit because I really enjoyed working with the front office there. I enjoyed all the relationships. And, like he would do, he just don't worry about it. Hockey players are hockey players. You'll love the next group just as much. And
that's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but yeah, just to the point that, we're lucky enough to be in this beautiful industry where you're really surrounded by very supportive, good people.
Well, and then every year you if you're part of a team and you're part of it in any position, it's a whole new hockey family each year, and it's the only way I can do this. The only way I can do this is being part of all those hockey families, and then each year it gave me the opportunity to meet 20 different dudes, but then not just them, their wives, and then eventually their kids, or at the start of it, I got to meet their parents, right? And like
exactly, yeah. And you're closing in on 200 episodes. It's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's we've been really doing it. It's been
my old moment. You'll appreciate this was my first year. We had a defenseman named Evgeny Nemesnikov. John Nemesnikov, he went by when here. He's kind of Americanized his first name. And I remember the little guy running around our locker room, and fast forward to 2013-14, and Vladdy Nemesnikov's first round pick of Tampa, and he's coming right to Syracuse. I was like, my goodness.
Is that right? That dad?
Yeah, so first father-son team to play for the Crunch, and it was kind of cool. It was a good
Vladdy Nemesnikov. Where is he now?
Yeah. So he re-signed with Tampa this offseason. So he bounced around a little bit. He was Detroit and Dallas, and he after obviously they knew they weren't going to be able to sign Andre Palat, they brought back Vladdy's Vladdy's a little bit more American than Russian, but just another great human being. I love him.
I find it very interesting. And now that we're talking North American hockey again, is what I'm starting to put together though, is that whether it's you start in the HL together, the NHL together, the coaches, the general managers, that you're their guys, that you're part of their thing. Like once you get traded, once you switch organizations, it's hard to find that home and that comfort and that like level of trust from the coach though. You're the guy that gets traded there. He doesn't know you. He knows his guys, right? And then you got to work your way into that.
Yeah, familiarity. Even last year for us, we brought back Gabriel Dumont, who was a captain for us, and we were struggling earlier. And PC Labrie, a guy who played for us in 2012, we brought him back last year. It's the kind of the devil so to speak, right?
Right. Yeah, because what works for you.
Yeah. And it's always important. I always tell my staff too, it is critical how you act on how you leave. It's such a big impression on people too. And these are points. Gabe left great. He got a great opportunity. PC left great, and an opportunity came. We bring him right back. Rather than throwing your, pouting and throwing your
getting it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're never coming back then. Yeah.
No. Yeah. And you got to be humble, right? Sometimes they just throw that humble pie right in your face, and you're like,
humble confidence. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. What else do I got here? Jody Shelley. I got one last question about this because we talked about the AHL the way it used to be. 2001, he played for your team. 69 games played, 357 penalty minutes.
How about that?
How about that? What was going on? Just
when you could tell the style we had with Columbus. Our owner, Howard, very much is a big believer in that, kind of to have that role to help protect the younger guys and everything. And between Jody Shelley, Brandon Sugden, John Morasti, we had,
and then they put me on the fourth line with them.
Mike Scroy, yep.
Yeah.
No, what a year for Jody. I remember when that was kind of like the height. Like he was probably the toughest person in hockey at that moment. But I could also say the same about Brandon and the same about John. When they were with us too.
And then Mike Scroy, when he was there, wasn't like,
Mike was a tough carry. We had Brad Wingfield. But you're right. Like you led your team, right? You led your team in scoring, I think, that last year, right? And then
by a bit.
Okay, but then you come to Syracuse and here you go. Go play your 4 minutes on.
No, and that's what was strange, right? Like I think by last year of college, I don't know the numbers, but I'm pretty sure I had like 25, 26 goals. And then the next guy on my team, I'm not sure if he had double digits, like goals. Like, I don't know if he had 10. So then,
I don't have your.
But then I show up and it's like, well, you're gonna play on the fourth line, and like,
so in those 6 games, you had one fight. Do you remember who it was against?
Francis Lemieux.
Oh,
yeah, met him in Hellbrunn, Germany. Played against him in Germany.
Did you really? Did you bring it up?
I did, and he didn't even remember it.
No,
didn't even remember it. Doesn't that hurt?
He's fighting a college kid at the end of the year.
I bet you he was just messing with me. He remembered.
He had to, because he knew. Yeah, like I said, I mean,
you fight someone, you remember it.
Yeah.
Right?
And especially in your situation. I mean, it was your first pro year.
It was right at the start. And then, like, that game, I think we were winning by a bunch, or they were winning by a bunch, and I hadn't had any ice time. There's nobody left on the bench. I'm like, well, obviously this team likes fighting. So I was thinking this coach does. So I was like, well, I'm going to go out and start one. And I did. I went out and started a fight which makes no sense. And it's like, I mean, like, hockey players being comfortable play better. It's like me going out there doing that just to try and show I will and whatever. It's like, well, I probably should have just played hockey the way I should have. But then it's like, well, I don't have the stick for that. So it's like, well, may as well muck it up a bit, right? Not over it.
Fair enough. I can tell.
No, but seriously,
I'm gonna send you a Reebok stick just for old time's sake.
Yeah, well, they didn't sponsor this episode, so I can say whatever I want.
Okay.
But seriously, no, the sticks were good. They're fine, right? Just the wrong curve. They didn't have mine.
There you go.
Right.
Fair enough.
But I don't have anything else. You got anything else for me?
Right, at the fight, you talked about your experience in Syracuse, which I was curious about, and then my only other thing, my notes that I wrote down was just common guys that we had. I tried to go through most of your European teams. The only, to my memory, I think we've only had one German player play for us. His name was Christian Bronsard. Did you ever cross? He was a goalie.
No.
Okay, I didn't know if you would have had any cross with him.
No, and it's interesting how like there's the American League guys, there's the East Coast guys, and like you kind of get into your own league and get to know every player. And like I really don't know a lot of the younger AHL guys that like came in, did their few years and were gone, right? Like
gotcha.
If they didn't go to Europe, I don't know a lot of guys, right?
Which city did you enjoy the most in Europe?
Cardiff, Wales.
It was Cardiff.
Yeah, well, and then like everything matters, right? And it's interesting. You have all these guys on, and you talk about their journey and where they all went. You've been in the same place all the time. Like for me, every place has a different meaning to me.
Gotcha.
Different things happened. Winning in Germany and beating Heim was one of the most special things I've ever been a part of. But then the next 3 years, the budget goes down, the team sucks. The fans aren't quite as nice to everybody.
Yeah.
that because they don't get that there's not as much money and the team sucks because there's not as much money. They don't treat you the same. Then all of a sudden you're leaving a place that like, I mean, I was pretty in there. And then all of a sudden you're leaving on not the best terms to a place where you thought you'd play your whole career, right?
Yeah, it's tough. You're right. Yeah.
Right. And then it's all about budget. And then coaches change because budgets change. But how many coaches did you go through over the years?
We have had, I think our current coach, Benoit Grue, is our 10th, which really isn't a lot.
Benoit Grue, is he the smooth D man that used to score a lot of points?
No, he did play. He played a little junior. He played a couple years in France, and then over here, more of a coach, a fantastic hockey mind. But so 10 years with Tampa, we've only had 3 head coaches. Okay. Columbus, we had 2 in 10 years.
Really?
Vancouver, we had 2. It was I run him down. Jack McElhargy, God rest his soul, is not with us anymore, unfortunately. Then to Stan Smeal, who was phenomenal. To Gary Agnew, to Ross Yates, to
and that's it, eh?
Yeah, pretty small. But even for me, it's so unheard of Howard Vance and I to be in one spot. It doesn't happen a lot in the minors, right? Because like to your point, in front office, everyone bounces around a lot. But I'm very proud of that. Like my epitaph, I think I always tell folks what I'm most proud of.
What word did you just say? Epitaph?
No, epitaph. Like my
your appetite. What gets you going? What?
My I lost you here for a second. Hold on, I'm coming back. My final chapter, so to speak.
Oh, that's what that means?
My tombstone, so to speak. And yeah, epitaph. That's my understanding of it. So I hope
I've never even heard that word. That's why I was asking.
So for me, it would be the longevity that we've been able to. Hold on, I'm Googling it. Now you got me. I want to make sure I'm right.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong in the shed. We'll just go with it.
Oh, I love it. Okay, I'm with you. All right, let's do it.
Yes, no, but yeah. So that's what were you gonna say about your?
So epitaph? I was gonna say it's I found it here. Hold on, let's learn here.
Yeah, do it.
So I know my brother Brian's gonna give a listen to this. This one's for him. It's phrase expressing a quality characteristic of a person or thing. So I think what I'm most proud of is the longevity. I mean, like the thing, like the relationships will kill it, but the fact that we've been able to do this at such a high level for so long is really cool.
Well, I don't like to say nice things to people in my shed, but
I'm learning this right now.
There's a reason why I asked you to come on. There's a reason why I remembered you. There's other front offices I've gone to that I have no idea anybody's name ever. Mm-hmm. Never knew who worked in the office. Never knew who was helping me out. You were, like I said, like you were there to support us. You were helping us in every way you can. And I think that's a winning culture. There are other things I didn't think were, but like the reason you've been with the same team for 27 years is like when I talk around in my shed, there's a lot of guys getting jerseys retired. There's a lot of guys getting all this shit done for them. And they're all the guys that were my friends. And it's because they were good people. And it was about the relationships. And it was like you said about your appetite or whatever. It's like, it's about being a good person. And that's why you've been at this level for so long. And like, you see all the other people interchanging positions and whatever. It's like, well, that's because something went on. Like it's like
100%. No, you're right about that. Yeah, well said. Well, no, thank you for saying all those things. I really appreciate.
I didn't say that. I didn't even.
I won't even heard that. But
yeah.
I have to play that back for my wife so she can hear that.
Yeah, I didn't even mean any of it. Don't worry about it,
Mr. Wilson. Tell team not to send out podcasts. No, right?
No, but seriously, like. I don't know. It's like you said, though, it's the same way I can do this is how you've been there is I had my ups and downs and my body wasn't always for everyone. And I'm not for everyone. I don't look like the 6'4" freak, and I don't look like an NHL hockey player. And I don't think I was going to make the NHL. And I think I'm glad I went because I wasn't going to make it with my physique and how I look and the player I was. And people helped me with making those decisions. But the way I treated my teammates and the people around me are how when I reach out to someone, they thank me for asking them. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense.
No, but that you have to, I mean, good on you. That's what you should own. I mean, you're right. That says you've had, I don't know how many repeats you've had. You're closing in on 200 people in your career coming on and doing it. That says all you need to know about yourself. You're more than just that. I mean, obviously you're college educated, so you have this, up here. And
I just like talking to guys. I like my friends. That's like, and all of us had such different journeys, but then
that's the cool part about it. Yeah.
And then like when I started thinking about starting this, a lot of it was because the one I was listening to was all NHL superstars. And I was like, this isn't the life I've lived. And I'm like, and then once I got into it, doing my caliber of career, what have you, but like my friends, I was doing my friends. There's a lot of people it takes to put on those hockey games every weekend. It takes a lot of people for the players to get to go out there and get paid to do it.
Oh yeah. All day. Yep, absolutely.
It's like, and you're running a lot of those people. And I've had fans on from different teams. I've had on assistant GMs. I've had on coaches. I've had on refs. Like it takes everybody. It takes everybody for that to happen.
Yeah. And I think people do need to remember, like, you can't run a game without off ice officials. They're critical to the games. The fan, it's all about it. And
a lot of them can be volunteers. Do you guys do any of that around there?
We have to. Yeah, even our internship program right now, Brent. I don't think we could run a game without our internship program. We're so dependent on them. Our boosters are. It takes a village, and I really mean that. I know it's very cliche, but you're right. There's so much that goes into this. But at the same time, from my point of view, I always try to remind and use the word humble too. I'm a big fan. Our off-season theme this year is humble confidence. That's what I theme the off-season. We theme the season. It's humble confidence right now. What I mean, we got to understand.
Is that you and your team, or is that Tampa?
That's us. That's me and my group upstairs. I say upstairs, our setup. Our upstairs. I try to do one theme each year, and they've been great. No excuse off season. If you have an excuse, just make sure you bring a solution with it, so we can talk it through. But about the humble confidence is at the end of the day, no one is paying to come and watch Jim Sarosy type or make a decision. They're coming to see the athletes. I remember and I understand that. So yeah. And you're gonna laugh. I plugged this into the wrong plug. Hold on.
Holy moly, is it still dying? We're going down.
I got the right one.
Okay, well, we're almost done anyways, but it's true, though. Humble confidence is what it's all about, though. And I think that's what a lot of hockey guys are, though. Like, I don't know. There were some guys that were just so confident in themselves, and you could tell being around them, they acted like an NHL player. They felt like an NHL player. I never did.
But that's different than cocky, right? There's a big difference. I have two sayings, right? In our office is painted, remember, upon the conduct of each depends the fate of all. So it's be a good teammate, right? That's Alexander the Great. That's what we live by there is we're all, we can't do this alone. And then the other one I always say, and I mean this and I live it, is if we sell out every game, we sell out every piece of inventory, and we win every hockey game, maybe we'll know what we're doing then. Maybe, and I doubt we will still know what we're doing.
But that you can always get better at exactly. Whatever you're doing. You can always get better. Yeah. There's always more to learn.
Yeah, it's that incremental growth, and we're very very lucky to have the support to allow us to try that and do that.
Well, I think Syracuse Crunch and the owner, you mentioned his name a few times. I don't remember.
No, Howard Dolgan is great. Yeah.
No, but like he's lucky to have you. And I think he knows. But I think he knows that. That's why you've been there so long.
No, he's been great. Because he's an absentee owner now. He lives down in Florida. I do acknowledge the trust that he puts in me to run his team, and I never want to take that for granted for a second. You know, I still have to. You deliver, but it's funny, right? And I'm sure you probably went through this too. Everyone on my staff right now, none of them were here in 2010 when we did the outdoor game. They don't know how much work went into it or how cool it was, and so you always have to keep growing and growing and growing, and that's part of the beauty of all of this,
right? And like it, and then being bored sucks, right? There's always more to do. Yeah.
If you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Yeah,
all day.
No, but seriously, I know me reaching out to you probably seemed like out of left field, but for me it wasn't. I always remembered you. I always remembered you, how you treated me when I got there, because I was an impressionable kid out of college that I had no idea where I was going or what I was doing, and then you show up and you take care of the kids.
It's hard, yeah. No, there, right? You try to put yourself in your position. I'm very thankful you did reach out, and I'm glad we reconnected here. And you're always you're part of the Crunch family.
Well, yeah, I was never really a big part of it, but like I lived in the hotel for a while, and had some naps.
You wore the uniform. You're part of it. So
I did get in a fight, maybe not a point, but I did my best. But one thing though, for any kids leaving college, that if you're going to the AHL and you've used Bauer sticks your whole life, reach out and find out if they have the stick you want to use when you get there, because it could help.
It could go a long way. The CCM deal is still in place. Yes.
But no, thank you for and now you become a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, right?
That's right. How about that? That's my humble brag.
But what's cool is that good people, good things happen to,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, anywho, this has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Jimmy and Wally.